Are you guys okay if I make that 35.9 on salaries?
39.5?
35.9.
35.9.
35,900.
Yeah, that's fine.
Round it up, that way we've got even, I hate pennies and nickels and cents. Some of them we have
You
to
should
have
never
that.
have cents in there, unless you absolutely have to.
Some we do, I wanna say, is the inheritance tax, I think there's pennies in that one. There's another one we had, ARPA had to have pennies, cause it had to be exact amount. All right, so you guys good on the board, 39.3?
Yes.
Okay, what else do we do? That was pretty easy peasy. Buildings and grounds, should we attack that one?
Yep.
Did you give us this, you gave us like a random number on the roof, Dawn, like a guess
Range
number?
50 to 70,000 is what he said.
It could be a tad more than that, but I doubt it. Part of it is, we have no idea how much insurance is gonna cover. If they cover 50%, that's, you know, you drop that, say top end is 70,000. If they cover 50%, it's only gonna cost us 35,000. If they cover 25, then we're almost to 50.
Depends on how they depreciate it.
Yep, exactly.
But historically speaking, they'll still pay pretty good even on a 20-year-old roof.
I think you're right.
You'll still get the majority of it covered. But that's an unknown, that's a variable.
John called after the meeting and he said that he is planning on being here tomorrow. Not sure if he's gonna start looking at things tomorrow or start on Thursday, or do it on Thursday, because he's got to drive all the way across the state. So he wasn't sure. He said he was gonna get back to me and let me know for sure.
Could you let at least me know?
Yeah, I gave him Tim's number, because he was asking if all the equipment could be there. And I go, well, it's easier for you to talk to Tim. So Tim might have more details than I do. But I'll shoot you guys an email as soon as I find out.
That sounds good, yeah, Tim's a good contact.
So we're doing building and grounds now?
Mhm.
Okay. So in the years past, we've always put in money for a parking lot, and it's became obvious that we're not gonna be able to redo the parking lot.
We haven't
for
put anything in
50,000.
there last year.
We did.
Huh?
We,
Be sure you're on 25, 26,
I'm
not
not,
24.
I'm sorry, you're right.
I'm sorry, I couldn't sort these out, because I don't know how to do that. Yeah, we didn't put anything in that parking lot.
Okay. That's gonna have to be addressed at some point, or else we will literally have a dirt wall. I mean, we can kick that can down the road for a year or two, but at some point, as a board, we're gonna have to pave the parking lot. Just to put a top coat onto it and whatever, I mean, what did that run? We did, it was,
We did that, I think that was before dawn, wasn't it?
You know, I don't.
When we had that conversation.
it was over 50, just to basically chip seal what we have, and then there's structural issues below it. Really what it needs is to be tore up and redone and repoured. You're talking 6 figures to get that done according to, well, when we were pricing that. So it's, may not be something that we need to do now, but you know, you'd mentioned a sinking fund for buildings and grounds. Maybe that's something that we put into that and we fund a little bit every year so that we can.
I'm gonna be big on these sinking funds. If we have any extra money, we need to
Well, that hasn't
carefully
been the
put
case
it
yet.
in. Here's the deal, and we said this in the regular meeting. If you don't maintain things.
Yep.
And the shop's a good example. This building's been really good. It's a structurally sound building, everything. The roof's the only issue. quite frankly.
But we're not gonna
And some
be able
drainage.
to do everything in
No.
a year.
No,
But that's why,
Sort
like,
those out.
That's why
put
you
the
do
money in the
sinking.
sinking fund, and we can kick that can down the road 3-4 years. We can live with what we've got for a minute. But at some point, it's gonna have to be addressed, whether it's this board that addresses it or the next
So
board, at
we
some
have
point, it's
a
gonna.
road sinking fund.
We do.
but we never put anything in there.
I don't know what's in there.
And they're no good if you don't fund them. And it needs to be funded as well. Because that's how you buy.
I'm agreeing with you, I'm not disagreeing.
It's sinking. And people hate them because they say, you're just hiding money out there. Yeah, that's true.
It's true.
But
You
we
decide
also have
you
to
don't
look,
wanna use
I
it.
mean, look at just what hit Banner County, that could have been a lot worse. That hailstorm could have been much worse.
So I don't really have a problem setting up a sinking fund for the buildings and grounds.
Kind of.
I think there's one in the budget.
Kind of what we were playing off of was the inheritance tax. There is a road sinking, but I can't find it.
And you're right, there's not.
Do you
one.
remember, Katie, was there anything in, there it is. Nope. Well, in the budget 20, if you scroll through all your tabbies, there's a road sinking 24-25. And in the budget for 23-24, there was 31,711.
So I don't know whether they bought a drug grader or tractor or what.
Well, I have to look back because it doesn't have the actual for 23-24. I don't remember taking anything out of that, do you, Katie?
I think Candace moved that one and another one last year.
Okay.
So could we rename the miscellaneous dash parking lot a sinking fund for buildings and grounds?
You want to keep it under, I think you just retitle them, right?
Well, the number in front, like if it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, those have to correlate with what you're wanting to do. So you have to, pretty much have to create a new fund.
Yep.
When you do
Yeah,
that.
there's no, I thought there was one in there. And that parking lot
Well, the
doesn't have a designation.
the parking lot can go, oh, that's road equipment. It says, right, road equipment.
For,
That 301-705 is road equipment sinking fund.
yeah,
And that's probably true. You would want your road sinking fund only to cover depreciable items.
Correct.
You would not want it to cover your building because that's buildings in grounds.
Correct. Agreed.
Yeah. So we need one.
That's
buildings and grounds. That's what we need.
Agreed.
Okay, so you want to create say a buildings and grounds paper. A buildings and grounds sinking fund.
Yes.
Yes.
And Katie has to create those for us because that's where all
It has to have the right.
the numbers go through Katie. So the clerk has to formulate that. Okay, so in that buildings and grounds sinking, so Katie has a direction, like what do you want to put under that?
Dollar amounts or what are you asking?
Like Katie just said, it has to have a line item with 1, 2, 3.
yeah, so
Whatever.
1 is like payroll and then 2 is another category, so we have to,
Yeah.
I have to figure out which one of those 5 numbers it is, and then the 4-digit number after that correlates with what funds would go towards that.
So like, if you look at this, personal services is 1, operating expenses is 2, supplies and materials is 3, capital outlay.
See, we put that in there, it's never been categorized. I don't know if we've ever taken the money out.
And then this has to get brought to
There's
the
no
meeting.
number with it. Pardon? It's got an 8 W. Capital outlay.
I know, that's because of my thing, so that was my auto check. Sorry about that. So it's probably May the number's probably 5-9900, I'm guessing. I'll have to look back on Katie's list, but yeah, that's just a it did it up there with miscellaneous too, that should be 2-9900. And it corrected it, so, yeah. Anyway, so in this sinking fund, what plans do you guys have for that? Like, what do you want Katie to label those as?
I don't think you have to label them.
Well, she's gonna have to have a category to put the money, her and Kathy, if you're gonna put money
It's a
in there.
sinking fund. That's a category.
Just call it sinking fund?
That's what I call it.
Or you don't want buildings and grounds sinking fund?
Yes,
Yes.
buildings and grounds.
Okay. And your plans for that money you put into the sinking fund will be for
Whatever.
buildings and grounds? So
Buildings
you
and
can
grounds,
call it, you can call it
It could be used for
building
window
repair.
replacement if needed. It could be, but the idea behind this is to start funding something so that we can repair the parking lot within 3 to 5 years.
Do you have to have a line item at this point to open that?
So when you create it, I will have to bring it to a board meeting and you guys will have to approve it. So I'll create the fund and then when we ever have a claim against it, then we would just designate those last 4 numbers at that point.
But you have to have a line item number to put budget money in there, correct? Like, so if we're gonna create a budget for that road sinking fund, or buildings and ground sinking, you have to have a line item to put the budget into.
But I
That's
can
what
call Candace and see.
It's not specific to what you're gonna spend.
Yeah, I don't know if it'd be like a 4-9900 or if it would be like if there's a,
It'd just fall under buildings and grounds.
yeah, so it'd be
Under
like,
capital outlay 9,900 probably.
yeah, so it'd be like 0100 641 004 dash, probably 9,900 for miscellaneous is what your whole fund number would be.
I'm not big on putting thousands of dollars into a miscellaneous account, that's like we're trying to slide stuff through. We could put building repair, we can put, as the parking lot, we can put, and then if we have something, I don't know what it would be.
I like the sinking fund because if you have an emergency that comes up and instead of using it onto this, you might have to put it,
Right,
that's why I like the sinking.
Doesn't require any.
It requires no changing, because if you label it as parking lot, you are parking lot.
You could just call it grounds upkeep. Or building,
It's under buildings and grounds, so that's.
you could just call it maintenance upkeep.
right.
So that's where I'm wired onto that.
And that's great, but I'm just trying to explain it to the people who have to pay more taxes about, okay, we put $10,000 into a buildings and grounds sinking fund. What
Why did
are
you
you gonna
do
use that for? Okay, to repair the buildings, to repair the park. Why can't we list that out then so they know what we're spending their money on?
If they want to call us, we can tell them.
It doesn't belong in the budget because we don't know what we're gonna spend it on. The specific use of the money. That's
It could get
That's why people
rerouted.
hate sinking funds.
We can add
You're right.
line items at a later date, right? So
Just
like
because-
if we put miscellaneous,
It's
we
like,
can add
what the hell
building
are we gonna
repair
spend that on now?
later.
Yep.
And can we can't move monies from that line item to the other line item, can we?
You can move it, like, so if you do the sinking fund, when I pay a claim, I would just, put in what you wanna call that fund. So I would go like 0100 641 004, and then the last 4 digits, I would look at the book and see where it would go. And then those funds would be automatically pulled out of there.
I understand the want and the need for the sinking fund. To put money into, but unless it's like the inheritance tax or those revenue accounts, that money's not going to carry over from year to year.
The sinking.
Sinking fund will. because it's a sinking fund.
So it's a revenue account, not an expense account.
You can pull out of it if you need, but yeah. Funded by surplus.
So, I guess I'm trying to get on the same page. Is it a revenue account or an expense account?
I would say it's a revenue account.
Then Kathy's the one we need to talk to. Because then her and Katie together set that up.
Okay.
And she's got to know what percentage of the tax, let me go get her.
Okay.
She can probably explain it better than me. I was thinking it was an expense account.
I think we both have to create an account for
I
both
think
Kathy
I think
and
that's
myself.
The
You
two
have
of
to
us.
have an expense side. and she
It's
has
like
to
my
have a
special
revenue
fund.
side.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's like your special.
Just like every other fund, every other line.
So, my special fund, I can put money in it,
And you take money out of it.
but every time I take money out of it, Chels or Katie get together, okay, so I bought the car out of it, so that came from a different account on the expense side, but it's still, my fund funded it. But it was just a different account number. When I bought whatever else I bought out of it, so like I bought the upfit package for the Charger, that came out of a different line item, so it was a different fund number, but that fund still funded it.
You have to have there's corresponding input and output on all of this.
That's how the P and M fund works too. Like, my money from deeds that we get every month, a certain percentage of it goes into the P and M fund. And then if I have any expenses with deeds, I can take it out of there and it doesn't cost the county any money. You know,
Understood.
All you're doing, you just have to worry about it on the front side. The girls take care of all the fund numbers and where the money,
On the backside,
Pulls
once we make the
off the backside.
authorization to pave the parking lot, that's dealt with.
then it's up to Katie then to
I
find
don't,
it right.
I don't know what we put into that, but I mean, I would like to adjust that at the end of all of this when we see what's left into the budget. And at that point, then we make that determination, because you don't have to put the same amount in it every year. We could say $10,000 right now and get to the end of this thing and say, you know, we really could put 40 in it,
Revenue account that bills,
and we don't have that answer today.
how you do that with the taxes.
Well, that's a good question. We had a sinking fund from a road when we came in, and it just sat there. So we moved it, because in 2023, the road department was so down on its funds, so we moved it in there because we hadn't used it. So it just sat there. But I could find out how to make one. So you want to make one for buildings and grounds? Okay.
Funded the surplus,
So, not like Zane's special fund that he
very
has.
similar.
It'll function the same.
Function the same
Okay,
functionality.
so what we have to do is, we have to get a resolution from you guys saying that we want to create a new fund for buildings and grounds. And I would just say, we'll just call it the Buildings and Grounds Fund.
Sinking fund. Probably want to tag it sinking.
Well, what makes it different?
There'll be a, in the state auditor's chart of accounts, there'll be a fund that,
So
because it'll
you-
have to be a revenue expense fund.
Okay, all right, so I'll figure out, and then you'll do a resolution.
Can
And
you two correlate that?
And then MIPS will create them for both of us.
Okay.
And I can also ask MIPS while I'm doing it, you know, what is better, because I know that you're sitting with the auditor.
It's the chart of accounts for the state auditor's office. If you want it, I've got the printouts.
We have a
There's
board.
4 different books.
Okay,
You just have to look at the chart of accounts and put in the one you want.
okay. Is that where you found yours? Okay, we'll do that.
That works?
Yep.
Okay. And as soon as you girls get that resolution together, bring it to our meeting. Put it on the
Hopefully
Put it
agenda.
on the,
Next meeting.
hopefully on the next meeting, and please put it on
Chelsea
the
has a
agenda.
copy of it.
Yes.
Yes, please.
She has a copy of
I
it.
will try to.
Chelsea does?
Okay.
Okay.
thank
When
you.
she gets back, I'll ask her
So you
about it.
two can take care of that, okay, right?
You just have to read through them and hurry back before you go.
You don't need a
So,
line item,
Yeah, I was
right?
just trying to figure out the difference between your normal fund like you
All right.
have, which is a revenue account, and the sinking fund. I guess
So-
I never really knew what the difference of a sinking fund
Back
and
to the
revenue.
buildings and grounds,
It's gonna be a,
regular expense account.
it'll be a
Okay.
revenue.
Custodial, how are we doing on that?
So it's also.
Katie, are
so
they,
they-
are those girls okay still cleaning?
Yep.
Do we need to, we probably don't need to increase that 2.4% because we always have a
Well, we do
padding
that with your
anyway.
regular fund though.
We're not talking a whole lot. Are you guys with me?
Yep,
You
I'm
put money in
right
it,
there
and
with
pay
you.
money out
Okay,
of it.
so
Or
if
you
you
transfer it,
deal.
transfer
I'm
it.
not playing Angry Birds, trust me.
But it's still, we have to have a resolution every time we
Not yet.
transfer. So
I haven't
now the
got to that
sinking
point.
fund, do we not have to
So
have
you
a
wanna leave that at
resolution?
11,000?
Yep,
That's a Kansas
And
question.
I have
then
to find out, because I don't know enough about it.
telephone,
We only had that one.
82% we used. How we sitting on that one, Katie?
We should be okay because our bill is pretty consistent. It's, if it changes, it's 20 cents.
Okay.
So, we should be fine on
Lights? We use 75%.
I keep it the same.
Water,
Same.
heating, fuels, 61%. Never know what that price is gonna do.
You never know what the price is gonna do. I think you keep it the same.
Okay, we'll look it up.
Thank you,
See
Kathy.
what that is, yeah, but I'll do some research, because I guess we only had that one and we got rid of it, so I haven't really thought about it, so I'll do some research, learn about it.
Yeah, if you would, that'd be great.
So,
You
Like you
figure out how.
guys might have to get Candace's input on that too, because for some reason.
6,300,
Yep.
2020.
We'll do
Thank
that.
you. Building repair,
38, how does that work?
Price of fuel, part of the winter, how hard the
Yeah,
winter
the
is.
winter certainly.
our heating fuels, that's not in our bid with,
No, that is done by the
that's
school.
complete, okay.
School
okay.
bids that for us. We bid the fuel. They did the
Heating fuels.
propane.
Building repair,
Well, just found out where you're gonna pull some of the money for sinking fund.
Yeah.
You're gonna take it right out of the building repair that's unused.
you can't do that
Why can't you?
because we're in a new year.
But you can budget it that way.
You can budget it that way.
Jim and I haven't worked on the office. We're, taking the glass down and putting up a wall because when you he found this out, I did not know this. When you make any changes like that, you have to be ADA compliant.
Mm.
And if we put a wall up there, we're changing it so I'm not ADA compliant for my office.
Uh-huh.
So we hit a bump in the road. That's why it hasn't been
What
worked
do
on.
we have to do to be ADA?
Make it wheelchair accessible.
So the window would be wheelchair accessible.
Well, it's not,
I was
because
gonna
it's
say-
existing. We're
Oh,
changing what's
I have it.
existing.
Yeah.
So the way.
But the sliding window there, I thought that would cover. I mean, this is a topic for a different time.
Right, but, that's why I was just gonna say, that's why there's probably more money in there than what you guys were expecting, because we haven't started on it, because we're not sure with that window, if that because is that then we're gonna have to move the chairs and make sure everything is ADA compliant, and that window has a lock on it, so we have to find the lock for the key and all that. So and we weren't sure if it would maybe need some special glass for that slider window, because it's just single pane.
It's tempered glass.
So-
Okay,
That's fine.
well, we're looking at, we have the roof. I don't know if the fire alarm security falls under building repair, or that will have its own line. That'll probably have its own line. Would it be other equipment repair on that one?
It could be under building
I
repair.
don't know. I always thought we should have a safety line, Because for the fire extinguishers and all that, we've always put it under miscellaneous or building repair. I kind of feel there should be a safety line.
I like that idea, that way we can show what we spent on safety. What do you guys think?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Do you wanna create us a line, Katie, that's for safety? So when she creates that, that'll be 20,000 there. 20, call it 25?
25.
And I put 30 in there.
25 will do the alarms and the security. And
Oh,
then you're
that
gonna
reminds
shop.
me, does the judge have a panic button?
Yes.
You guys have access to one in here?
It's right underneath the judge's desk.
Yeah, it's right there.
Doesn't work,
I was driving and I was thought about that, I'm like, oh, I don't know if we have the courtroom covered for safety. Okay, so building repair.
How much? Like you after a dollar amount? We funded it at 60,000 last year. I think it would behoove us to keep it there.
Except that's gonna be our roof
Except that's the roof and,
and anything else that. I mean, I think we need something, say,
you want it higher?
but
I'm thinking so because okay, so what'd you tell me on the roof?
50 to 70.
50.
But but we'll have part of that back as insurance. I would say you get paid 75% of the roof value. That might be a little bit aggressive, it might be closer to 50.
So you think 60 is okay?
Well,
I'm just thinking if we had.
if you created a new line
The
for
wind
safety.
caught the door and blew it off, we're gonna have to replace that door, so things that happen over the year.
Right, if, like the sewer and the issues that we had with that, so that's why we created that. So
Mhm.
I think if we're creating another line for safety, and we're gonna put 25,000 in for the alarms and for the panic buttons and everything, I would think you would keep this at 60,
Okay,
just the same. Now, if it's all gonna be combined into one, then it's not adequate.
no, because Katie's gonna create that line for
Okay,
25,000.
so if we're gonna create that other line and put 25,000 in it, we're probably solid. My take.
you leave this at 60.
And leave this at 60, because that gives us room to make improvements and to continue to work onto the courthouse glass.
Because
And continue
he's
to
high
work-
for the roof,
Yes,
is that right?
it allows for the roof, it
Okay.
allows for all the extra stuff that's,
That sounds.
is that
If you
reasonable?
do the other line,
I just feel like if we're gonna fix it, let's fix it right.
Let's fix it right and do it right,
Exactly.
I
absolutely.
mean, you put a pitched roof on it, that would be right.
Exactly.
This freaking flat
Did you
roof
price
deal.
that out? No, don't wanna talk about it?
You'd have
It's-
to have somebody engineer.
It'd be engineered, it would be a whole new,
Be twice that?
Flat roofs are.
it'd probably be 4 times that. I'll bet it would be 200 grand to put a pitched roof on this.
When we did the school, of course, granted, this is back about 2000, it was 500 and some thousand. So, you know,
All right,
This
so
was-
60,000 in the building repair. Other equipment repair? We had 2,500 in there, used 44%, you wanna leave it?
Yep. For now, I mean, this is preliminary, so we
Oh.
might have to back this all
Oh,
out.
definitely.
For
We
now,
can go
let's
back and-
try to keep it as close as where
These
we have.
workshops are just throwing numbers in there.
Let's just try to keep everything
And
as
then once we
why is my
move,
number different than yours? This is your
Which
most
one are you
recent
looking at?
email. Well, you were on, why are these numbers wrong on mine and not in yours? Line 12.
because you're in 24, 25, and you need to be in 25, 26. It's got last year's budget and this year's budget on there, so we could look
Why
back.
aren't they all in the same one?
No,
Really?
no.
They are.
Well, you kind of do.
They are. You got them on the same one.
You've got
So
the
I'm
ones
gonna
you
delete
need
that
in
out.
25, 26. But you
That's
can-
confusing. I'm sorry.
I jump back, I like history. Miscellaneous, 3,500. I'm guessing that's toilet repair, that kind of thing.
We didn't spend any.
74%.
Trash comes out of there.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, now I'm seeing it.
Trash,
What's that?
the pack rat, right, Kate?
Oh, that's under miscellaneous.
So 3,500, we okay there?
Yeah.
I'm going to add a line just to plug in that 25,000. I'm not gonna put any numbers there or anything till these guys do that. Janitor supplies, 1,900, we spent 87%.
Seems like they.
Leave it,
we're
move it,
underspent, so it's probably good.
and leave it at 19.
Yep.
Building supplies, 2,500, we spent half that.
And what's building supplies? What would that be?
Lights, tiles, I would assume,
That's what I'm thinking, light bulbs, is
Okay,
that right?
ceiling tiles, we're gonna need a bunch of them. What did we get here?
So, we spent, it was 2,500, we spent half of that, so you want 2,500 in there?
I'd keep everything pretty similar. The budget worked last year, so as close as we can to,
We should,
Well, you're adding things, so we're gonna have to go back and tweak. Where were we? Parking lot, you want anything in that this year?
nope, because if we're gonna create a sinking fund, we're not gonna deal with the parking lot in 25 or 26.
So our buildings and grounds went from 104,000 to 129,400.
There you go.
it's a 20% increase.
And the roof. I mean, they're both
You know,
gonna,
the roof's
They're both
covered in the
play
60
into
that
it.
we had last year. Yeah, you're right,
they're both gonna play
whatever you
into it.
blame it on, it's one of the two.
All right,
Since I won't be here for the 15th, can I talk to you about mine quick?
we can, yeah.
I've got my
If you
proposed
want
numbers.
to, or we can do it after that, Zane.
I just haven't had time to fill out yours, but I got what I'm kind of proposing, where if you want to plug in your numbers.
We kinda need it on that form I sent you, because you have to sign off for it.
I can sign off on it, I just haven't had time to put it on there. I've got what I've been messing with,
Okay.
and then I can fill it out.
We were gonna meet with all officials. It would be after the 15th.
It'll be after, so it's
Yeah.
not a have-to today.
No, well, I'll send out an email for you guys to schedule, like once we pick another workshop day, I'll send an email out and ask you guys what time works for you guys to come in and talk with us, and then we'll sit down with each official and talk one-on-one with the budget. I mean, we can.
It's up to you. My helper was just getting done, so.
It's getting hot.
Well, she's in a cool cab, she's all right.
Oh.
But
But
if-
yeah,
if
we'll
you-
talk about it later anyway, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can send it to us anytime you want, right?
I just haven't had,
Then we'd have a chance to
And
look
Because-
over it.
I wanna do a sit-down, face-to-face with all the officials and go over their budgets this year so that we can all talk about it.
okay. I can tell you that mine went up roughly about 5.02%.
Okay, if you want, I mean, you can make copies and give that to us if you want to, but we'll do a sit-down here after the 15th, and
Okay, I just didn't know if the 15th was the day that you were gonna do
It was a
with
hard
the
day.
officials, or, you know,
then this day, most of what I had planned was the board stuff,
because
get
I
us
had
off the
I've
ground.
got a training I've gotta be at for that day, so.
No, we can,
And we don't have to go through it with you that day, but we do need it that day.
we need it, yeah, we need it by the 14th, the one I sent you.
I can get that,
Right,
I just printed off a quick copy of the spreadsheet I have.
but before we put it into the budget program and lock that in, we want to sit down with you guys face-to-face anyway and have that conversation.
That's all I was
Sound fair?
saying for.
Okay,
Okay, I'm gonna
thank you,
keep her happy.
Have fun.
good luck.
Yeah.
Mom ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
Oh, I know.
Civil defense. Do you wanna look at that one? Civil defense for 25?
So,
So this is your Region 22 emergency management. And it's going to go up to 16,000 this year. We just finalized our budget a couple weeks ago.
Big jump.
Only $1,000. It was 15,000 last year, it's 16,000 this year. That's because we have to build a new EOC, not build it. We're using the old jail, revamping that, remodeling, to put an EOC over there. Generator. That was a grant something. We were talking about a generator for the shop.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to put anything in there in case of that? Now, that last generator was bought with the grant. Was that
And
before
the
our
talk
time?
was that,
That's before our time.
that we could probably try to get a grant onto this again, but we still have to
Pay for it
itemize,
first and
pay
then,
for it first. So the question would be, what type of generator do you want? Do you want a propane standby generator that comes on when the power kicks off? That's 15 to 20 grand. Do you want a Harbor Freight, kick it on, run the gas pump style generator with it, and a couple lights in the shop to keep the heat on? You know, is that the style? And then you can buy one of those for 2,500 to 5 grand.
So
It
we
just
can,
depends on what we want. If we want a portable generator, like what you go to Sandberg's and get, a 10,000 watt portable generator, relatively cheap, 5 grand. You could put the plug into the building, and you could run that particular building with a disconnect and run the pumps with that generator as a standby generator. And if you wanted to run it for 2 hours at night to keep heat on in the building, that could all be dealt with. So from a cost effective, and besides, the generator could then also be mobile and could be used for other items. Now, my preference would be we buy a 10,000 watt generator, because that will run that building, and that will run
and the pumps.
and the pumps, and that will deal with all that, and it's a hell of a lot cheaper than putting in an additional, or I'll bet it would be cheaper than trenching the power and putting in the extra connects.
bet you pound.
So just to buy that, just to do one connect into the shop to where we can disconnect it off the main line, I will promise you that one generator will be cheaper than just using what we have and trenching it over.
10,000.
10,000, there you go.
Trench that and put, because you're talking big wire to run that far.
Then you could also move that generator as needed through our interlocals that we have. So if you wanted to set up, I'm just gonna use this as an example, if you wanted to use the fire hall as an EOC to cook and to do things out of, that generator could be picked up and moved over there so it would run over there.
So I took a little time yesterday and talked to Tim about this, and we talked about that. I think if you're gonna do a real generator project, you need to let the fire hall be able to connect, either make it physically permanent at the county shop and connect it to them,
Okay.
or
Or make it
vice
so
versa,
it's,
make it portable,
make it portable,
at least semi-portable.
semi-portable, and then the fire department can figure out how to put their connection in.
And then we would have them put their connection, so all you gotta do is shove the little
Shove
plug
the
in.
plug in and crank it up, and
It won't be automatic.
understood. But do we need it automatic?
I
You know,
don't think so, because there's no sensitive stuff over there we need to protect. This building needs to.
this building needs to be protected. But if you had a storm situation and you were, then you've at least always got it covered where you've got a generator. The fire truck has a generator, would probably run that anyway, the big truck, but just saying. If you have one generator, you really have no generators, and if you have two generators, you've got one.
Right.
That's the way to kind of look at that, because that would be my take. So if we're gonna fund a generator, that'd be my preference, and that's why. Because it's not something we're gonna use every day, and we really frankly do not need another setup of maintenance to where you have to go out and run it every so often and change the oil and
Well,
maintain it.
if you apply for a grant, there's certain specs, like I thought this one had to have a building around it, or,
I think it just has
They
to
were
be.
just giving money away, is what they were doing at that time.
And that could be, I can't tell you about that. That would be a determining
there's
factor.
certain hoops you have to
for-
jump through to fall into the grant process, but.
I put 5,000 in for a generator, and I would,
Okay,
you'll buy a nice generator for 5,000.
Yes, I agree, except that the electrician will charge you for it, hook it up. I'm serious.
these are grants we
These
had,
guys
the
are
radio
nuts.
equipment and grant purchased equipment.
That's
I
gone.
think our radio equipment
We
were
got that
good,
fixed last
and
year.
the grant purchased equipment.
So do we use, is this a buildings, actually buildings and grounds, or is this emergency?
Civil defense.
Civil
Civil.
defense.
Okay,
5,000,
So see-
what you gonna put in?
yeah, I put that under generator.
I think that's a good place to start.
We had 68,000 in there last year, but that's where all the radios for the
Radios.
county played into that.
Right.
So it's 21,000 this year. All right, where we at? I have Carl's, the surveyor. I have his back from him signed. I just haven't been in a place to print it off. We can go over that one if you guys want to.
If I can get it to open. There we
Can you
go.
ever remove that ARP account, just thinking out loud? We don't have any ARP money.
I think we have to leave it, do we have to leave it on there for this round and then it drops off of that? When it drops off that spreadsheet? By the years,
Surveyor,
do I understand it?
so his requests. Okay.
We're ready to go. Did you pull it up?
Mhm.
And so he needs that 2.4.
Mhm.
I had it here.
So how can he not take his whole salary? Just because we haven't got there yet, right?
No, because those actual 24, 25 numbers are through all meetings in June. It's through the whole fiscal year. I went back and dug those up and put them in there.
So that's an actual number.
So his salary is 35,000, that's what we budget. And then it comes out 26,450 whatever because of taxes.
Gotcha. Okay.
So 3,500 or 35,000?
3,500.
Yeah.
So 3,500 times 2.4. He left everything the same, and I told him his salary would, oh, I really wish I could find the email. Oh, there's,
$84. So it'd be 35.84.
well, 3,600.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Hold on, I'm pulling up. Okay, here's his budget. Sorry, had to find it. So in the requested column, surveyor salary stop. 2645.30. Compensation was 0. You have to move the formula over because somebody didn't do that. Mileage 0, miscellaneous labor 0.
Okay.
He has nothing all the way down to survey materials and
So
supplies.
timeout, if everybody else only gets a cost of living at 2.4, you can only give him 2.4.
Has to be a hard
It
number.
has to be a hard number.
Okay.
Because he's an elected official.
Okay. I understand that. You're right.
So that's where the pennies are gonna come in? Is that what you're
There's-
saying?
There's no pennies there. His salary was 36. Oh,
I'm just going down his
yeah,
requested.
the pennies come in because,
Supplies was
Taxes.
5,400
I guess.
and
I need some like barcode measures or something.
Sure, I'm so glad we're done with that.
You bring your combine seat in.
Survey equipment rental,
Or track.
4,000.
Why does that not come down?
Okay, so. $12,000. Okay, so then on the board proposed, what did you come up with his salary, Don? What did you come up with Carl's salary, did you say?
3584.
Yeah.
So it has to be 3584?
Yep.
And are we going to propose the same? Carl sent his budget back, signed. He just left everything the same. So do we want to just leave everything the same as
I
Carl did?
would. Yep.
I mean, he knows better than anybody.
That's, well, that should be a practice we do with all
Yes.
elected offices, frankly. They should put their thing together, and if they have, as long as they're under the
2.4?
well, 2.4 on the salary, but as far as they're under the 5%, like Zane's office onto the allowable growth, they should put their own deal together. And I mean, we have to
So are we
approve.
adjusting wages with the allowable growth at half what we're adjusting?
We are setting, the only thing we're setting is the 2.4 for salaries.
Right.
If Zane needed the extra 5% for snow tires and bubble gum, that's up to him. That's how I feel. Like the only thing we should do is give a number that your office will be allowed this many dollars of growth, and that's it. If they wanna put it all in to sofas and whatever, that's on them, that's not on us. That's how I feel. We let them take care of their own house. And then all we have to do, like ultimately, yeah, we go in and say, yeah, we're gonna adjust this if we need to. But if we don't need to, then we're fine. And as long as we keep it under that number, we should be just fine. Does that make
Well, it
sense?
should be, but you're adding to buildings and grounds, you're adding a sinking fund, you're adding all of these things. That's gonna up your levy.
It will. It
So
could.
the cut's gotta come somewhere, because I'm not willing to do that to our people. I'm not, like, we can, and I understand improving these buildings, improving our road equipment. We need to move in that direction, I get it, and I get it, fix it right the first time, I get it. But we're not gonna be able to build Rome in a year.
So as a board, let's decide on a number as to what we're gonna make allowable growth for everybody's office. If that number is 2.5%, if that number is 1%, if that number is 0, if that number is 5,
I think we need to look at their budgets too.
we will. But I think we need to give them, so they can be successful with what they're gonna present to us. We need to give them a number, say, look, you have 3% of growth. Or you have 2% of growth, or you have no growth, and we'll just do the cost of living. Whatever we decide as a board, we give that to them, and then they put their own numbers, they do their own thing. I do not want to over the top manage the other electeds.
And then you're going to run into that with the road department. So
No,
then
we're
you're
not.
opening up a huge can of
Road
worms.
department's different,
They're ours.
they're ours.
They're our professional.
So if you're gonna let them increase their budget so much, then why not the road department? What's fair is fair.
Road department will have to stay in the same lines, I guess. You know, it's just what it is.
Well, we can make them stay. We can't
That's the
make
point,
them
that
stay.
we can do. But for us to
In
tell,
your road department budget, you're looking at,
for us to tell Zane that, you know, and try to limit him, or whatever, or
I'm not gonna just let them freely spend taxpayer dollars. I am not all about that.
they are elected
There are-
officials. They are
That's
also
fine.
elected officials, and the only thing we really should dictate to them is the amount of growth that we're gonna allow. That's it.
Whether that's 0, 2%, or 5%.
Yep, whatever that number
And
is.
if we're not happy, they gotta figure out where they're.
They'll have to figure out how to make that number work. That's where I'm at.
And if they don't do what the public likes, they can be diselected.
Right.
That's their job, not ours. The road department is.
That's ours, that's squarely ours.
And buildings and grounds.
And buildings and grounds.
You know, any of those funds that are outside of elected officials.
The road department has $1 million budget. That's way bigger than any of the other.
It's the biggest part of the county.
Exactly.
None of this happens without it.
The kids don't go to school, the farmers don't get to the market.
Courthouse doesn't open.
My frustration, you know, I have frustrations with the road department, but it isn't how much money we're spending, it's what we're getting for the money we spend. Which
Also,
is a different deal. I fail to see a lot of progress in my short period of time on the board.
as far as purchasing,
No, we're doing okay with that part. I'm just talking about for the number of hours we pay for, we're not getting a lot of road maintenance.
In the east,
I do not
on the
know
east
that.
side of the county, I agree with you. East side
I
is,
mean, for the weeds are this tall.
yeah,
that
that
tells
County
you how
Road
long it's
73
been.
has never, the ditches were never pulled in that one. The east side of this county roads look like crap.
The roads, okay, I'm gonna disagree a little bit. The roads aren't terrible.
No, they're not
The road
they've
terrible.
itself is
improved,
okay.
we've improved. We
But
have improved.
they just haven't had a regular maintenance schedule, which you have to have. This time of year, if you're not hitting every road twice a month, the weeds are this high. Or you're dragging them across.
We haven't gotten the maintenance over there that's been done everywhere else, is what I'm saying. No, the roads aren't that bad, they're definitely travelable. If you travel any other counties,
Oh.
our roads are way better. than
Oh,
theirs.
yeah.
Way better than
Way
theirs.
better.
I've been in Cherry County, Kimball County, Sioux County, yeah.
But that's a fact of what we have to work with is base and the availability of gravel is everywhere
Mhm.
here. You go to Valentine, there's no gravel.
Sand.
Use chalk rock or sand.
Okay. So do we want to set something to give these officials a guideline? Because
think-
I did not do that in that.
I think that's what we
I
should
just
do.
left it wide open.
I'm going for 3%.
Okay, I'm good with that.
I would go for 3%.
And just as a starting spot, we might have to back up, it might be 0, but we don't know until we get to the end of it.
Or it might need to be 3.5.
I'll go with 3, I won't go above 3.
Okay.
That's
I'm good
just,
with
that's
that.
me, that's completely me.
Pretty good thinking there.
I'm
That
good.
means they can give, if they want to, their employees 5% raises and cut it out somewhere else. And that's what they choose to do.
That's their discretion. Agreed.
And that'll go a long ways towards resolving their issues, I think. So I think, I agree with 3.
Okay.
I think that's a good starting point.
Do we need,
We need to send that as an email, an official board email, to every other elected official so that they can use that.
and department head?
Yes.
Well, I don't, does it affect the road?
No, because we do the road
Because
budget. We can tweak that however we want.
If we decide we needed a piece of equipment or we're going to be redoing a road
Right,
that
it's $1 million budget, it's a whole different
It
ballgame
is
than
right. So
officials.
certainly.
Okay, so do we want to send that email or do you want Katie to send it with us tagged? How do we want to do that?
I think you should send that
All
email
right, I'll do it.
and we'll support you on it. So,
Well,
absolutely.
I'll include you guys and Mark.
Yep.
Email officials. Budgets. Budget limit increase, so how to work that?
Yeah.
3%.
Does that make sense, Katie? To you?
It does, but does that include the official wages?
Yes.
Well, yeah. You can only go up to 2.4%.
You're only gonna be allowed 2.4% on wages, but for the rest of your office, if you decided you wanted to,
So like I get, like, I'm just talking for my budget. If I get a 2.4% increase and I got Ashley, does she get a 2.4%?
That's up to you.
That's your
That's your
discretion.
discussion.
But then I-
Yours is separate, cause you're
Yeah.
an official. So yours and Casey's and Kathy's and Zane's, those are all separate from.
My
Right, no, no,
recommendation would be 2.4 across the board.
Right, and I normally do that, but, so, if my wages increase 2.4%, then that uses 2.4% of
No.
that 3% increase, am I?
No,
Your salary is 2.4%, that's what's fixed. The rest of your
Rest.
other line items is 3%.
Okay,
Yep.
I got you now.
And that keeps us well under the state, that keeps, well, it keeps us under,
And you're talking Ashley as well, I think that's your question, right?
Right,
I
no,
would put
Ashley, you can give Ashley 5%, if you can make it work in your budget.
but that's up to you to sort.
Total
Not fair.
budget.
total budget, okay.
Total budget.
Theoretically,
Maybe I should
you
write
could
that
give
total
her
budget.
more if you wanted to, but that would be a pretty,
Email officials budget limit.
I would,
Total-
I
Help
would,
me word this. Hold on, Lee, help me word this. Email officials budget limit, total increase, 3%.
3%.
and
Total budget increase, is that?
Total,
Yes.
total 25, 26 budget increase, 3%.
bottom dollar, 3% of,
Not to
Higher.
include the official salary.
well, it's included in there, because it's part of the
In one
cost of
respect, it
the college.
is. But 2.4
It is,
is
but
what
if Katie sits down to figure that and she puts in her official salary, she could be like, I said I only have 0.6%.
Right, that's where I was
So
getting.
you have to make it known that their salaries don't count in that 3%.
I see what you're saying. Trying to figure out.
Otherwise, it's gonna screw them
Well,
up.
that's why I was asking, because
2.4, yeah.
What, do you wanna set the whole thing at 2.4? We can.
There's an exclamation point.
Oh. I'm hoping it
I
stays.
think if you got a different decide which one fits the lead important
Not
section.
to include official salary.
Yeah, just a,
Here's an explanation of the sinking fund versus a revenue fund. And I thought I would just give that to you guys to decide what fits your need the most, and then we'll create whichever one fits the need that you're thinking. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Would that help to explain it that way, Katie?
yes,
Budget limit, total budget increase 3% only, not to include official salary. Okay. Is that good?
I'm good with that.
I think
I was going to, also,
This is preliminary, like, we might get to the
Right,
end of
right.
it, and it might all have to be cut back out. We're not there yet.
right,
This is,
I
we're
think
just
we
trying
that's
to.
a good shot.
they kind of need a guideline on what we're
Exactly.
thinking to do their budget.
Exactly. That's where we're at.
But if it comes down to, we can't increase you by that much, we're gonna have to drop to 2.4%, I don't want any bitching.
That's right, there can't be any, period, because we're gonna try to hold the levy, we're gonna try to keep
Right.
things the way that they need to be for our people. We have a really tough job, because we have to keep the other electeds going and successful with what their requests are. By the same token, we have a responsibility to every taxpayer in this county to fiscally be responsible with the funds and administer in a way that
Exactly.
it is. So let's start here, and if we've got to
Right.
tweak it or make a change, great, but that gives them a number to shoot for.
And I'll kind of express that in that email,
Right.
that this is only a starting point for you guys to have a guideline.
We're not gonna increase it,
Likely.
Right,
likely. It likely will not be increased.
not where we're buying a roof, and we're buying fire alarms, and we're buying a
Exactly,
generator, and, yeah.
exactly. Okay,
So are we limited by real growth again this year? Those are some of the gray areas I don't really.
I thought so,
understand.
and I haven't gotten the new budget stuff off my, because I can't get into the
Oh, okay.
budget. Have you been in the new budget program at all?
I had to have MIPS help me out with it, because it wasn't allowing me in there, and I got it up and going. And I had never really played with it, but
well, that's the
Different
number
or
we need to
pretty much
really,
the same?
pretty much the
we're gonna see what's
same.
coming.
There's some changes, but it isn't anything that I
You
noticed
you
right
should be
away.
able to take that number and basically apply that just liquid all the way through
I
everything
could,
at
I
this
did
point.
Right.
on the rugged part. I didn't
So-
put it through, I put it in
I was talking with Katie earlier, there's all of these reports that figure down to our levy, there's Casey's report,
the-
all these reports that play into the levy and all these things that have to go in. And Katie said she's okay with inputting our numbers this year,
Okay.
as long as we get them to her. Input those numbers will all play into this, we think,
Yes, they will.
because she never inputted these, so they should all play into that. And we can play with it and see where we're at and then go back and
Do it.
do that.
Once
So,
we get the certified evaluation.
do you want me to go through and play this 2.4 on all of them except not the elected officials? So I would do like, well, they're all gonna do their own.
They're all
budgets
gonna have
anyway, So
I'd start at 3.
I think we're just
On the
double working.
salaries,
No, on the road.
on the road.
Eric's working on the budget as we speak, so I say let him do his budget, give him this guideline. It's like doubling the work we don't need to do.
You're right.
Tim's doing weeds, what else do we have left? We did civil defense, right?
Mhm.
We did buildings.
Buildings and grounds.
Uh-huh. Extension, do we get that from,
We get that from them. So, actually this year, we're not behind on pay, they got me all the current.
I see that.
We're up to current with them. So it's basically, it will be basically the same thing. If they decide to increase, it would be a third of what they increase. Cause it gets split between us, Kimball and Cheyenne.
now
So,
so I'm clear, the extension office, what do they do for us?
they
That's
put-
not the fair, right?
Well, part of it is. So we pay them for like education classes, getting 4-Hers, their supplies they need. We pay for their help, part of their retirement, their internet, their phone.
Is it on a percentage or is it just a third?
It's on a third of whatever the bill is, so.
So how fair is that Banner County sends 10 kids to the fair? Cheyenne sends,
But this
We'll
is
say
more than
15.
just fair. This is.
no, I
every
get
road.
that, but the fair plays into it. He
Yes,
was just
it does.
explaining. And so Kimball sends 20, 25 kids to the fair and we all pay a third?
That's how it was set up. I don't know that we can back that one out.
I don't wanna lose the fair.
No.
For the kids that go there, I don't wanna lose that out. And I think the Kimball Ag Society and the grounds, those physical grounds, I think I don't
Theirs.
know that we get charged for that, so that's one thing, Kimball being bigger than us, they eat that expense,
Yep.
the way I understand it. And like the sawdust and that sort of thing. I wanna say Kimball Ag does that because it has to be a certain, whatever. Okay,
Really, the only thing we should plug in for numbers, and this is something we could do today, is you could do the 2.4% cost of living increase, and then you could take 3% of the bottom total budget on everybody's budget, and you could put that
they can
in.
figure that, why would I double work that?
We're not gonna, but I mean, for a number for us, so that we know where we're gonna hit on our levy, because you just take 3% across
We don't
everybody's.
need to know, we're not gonna have any idea where we hit on our levy today, Leif,
Okay.
because you don't know what your officials are gonna bring to you, and you don't know what Eric's gonna bring for
And
the
you know
road.
what the certified
Tim for the
value is
weed.
gonna be.
We gotta have.
I was
all
just
those.
thinking things we could do. I didn't wanna be bored.
I think we're pretty much done.
If you took the
Do I need to send that extension one to
value,
whoever, or do you wanna
and
send
we
that to
could
him? You probably have to
print
print it
that
off.
one into a 3%
I'll probably
increase on
print it
last
off and
year's
send it to
budget,
Aaron.
exactly.
Do you mind doing that?
We'd
That
have
one in the
some
fair?
idea. We'll be lower.
Or do they just dictate
If
the
we
fare
get
to us?
used-
No, I think Kimball Lake Society, all they send to us is we pay for,
Because it's not
part
a
of the
real
judge,
increase in
and then we
valuation.
pay
Only
for
real
regular
increase in valuation.
and that's all we pay Kimball Lake
We don't
Society.
pay Kimball
3%
for
increase.
land taxes,
Because
we
if you're
don't pay
allowed-
Kimball for,
If you have $100,000,
Personal property,
a
we use all
3%
of that,
increase,
so-
you're $103,000.
I think all of that kind of
That's
plays
enough for
in.
them to-
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, if you'll send that to Aaron, that'd be great. Miscellaneous general, I think that's Katie, isn't it? Isn't that mostly you, Katie, with the insurance and, postal.
I think that's actually you guys.
It is, that's a.
Yeah, but we don't have numbers for insurance, we don't have numbers for retirement, health savings accounts, general liability insurance, data processing, board of prisoners, printing and publishing.
I don't
We
know.
didn't have them last year.
No, Katie gave them all to us last year. Right?
You guys just asked me and I answered questions.
I'm sorry, what's that?
I said, you guys just asked me and I answered questions. I didn't fill out those sheets.
Where did we get the numbers? Yeah. For general?
Yeah, cause they would be on your current expenditure. You know, what was used. And then you just figure in what the increase is for your insurances and,
But our insurance changed,
right,
so we have to
It
contact.
should have stayed
Nick.
about the same. Should have been 1% decrease, actually.
yeah, that's what Nick said, is this new insurance is a 1% decrease.
But that doesn't mean that well, of course, that's the only one we're worried about, because the Aflac and everything else with those go, it comes out of the employee's salary.
Miscellaneous.
Individual
Right.
salary.
And HSA isn't
So it
gonna
doesn't
change.
play in, and it doesn't change, so none of that should affect us whatsoever.
All right, so let's
The
dive
only
into
thing
this
though-
health insurance general.
Right.
95,000 last year, we went over.
The insurance, we have to figure it out for fully staffed too.
So we're in general now?
Miscellaneous general. I thought those were numbers Katie y'all had, but apparently not. So health insurance general, what are we gonna do with that one? 95,000, and we spent 95,800.
Well, last week, he told us what it would cost for a year, right?
I was gonna say, I think he let us know.
Yes, but I didn't write it down.
I didn't either. And I can't find it right
Actually,
now,
I did write it down. It's on my notes that I don't have with me.
but they're not here, and that's where I'm at.
All right, I'll get with Nick on that one. Health insurance trust fund.
That's your HRA. Because you can't, so everybody's allowed, what is it, if you're on HRA, it's $4,000. So whoever's on HRA gets potentially gets up to $4,000.
Why do we limit the HSA and the HRA differently? It's the same sort of benefit.
So HRA, you only get reimbursed with receipts that you turn in. HSA is just a solid dollar amount, you don't have to turn in
Yeah, but
receipts.
Both the same type of fringe benefit.
Right. Nick explained this to me. HSA, you can get up to $8,000, I think it's $8,000 a
That's
year.
very wide.
And HRA does not allow that. I think it, depending on the plan, it's anywhere from $3,500 to $4,000.
So, whoever it is that does our plans
First one
said
for
a lot of them are 5. So,
So health insurance trust fund, what do we do with that?
Well, obviously, we need to increase it.
Mm-hmm. 75,
What's that?
75,
that's the HSA.
that's
Again,
1-0805,
What is
health
that?
insurance trust fund.
what is that?
That's the HRA, right?
That's what Bob Gifford told me when he was here.
Okay,
So it
can
needs
we
to be,
relabel that?
needs to be 7,500. I mean, if we're over that amount, it needs to be 7,500.
That's what I
And
said.
it appears that our health insurance general needs to be about 98,000.
Sounds about right.
What's the number Nick gave us?
1% less than what we paid last year.
And that's what that is?
But if you
Well, no,
added
that's
somebody-
actually more, but that's, if we add somebody or,
You said 98?
that's what I would plug.
Okay.
And unless somebody quits,
Cash in lieu, stay the same?
I know you're gonna add somebody to your trust fund, so. I don't know if you
Retirement general,
Add that.
same?
I would.
OASI general, same? 8,000. Health savings account,
See, what happened there is you had people that took health insurance out of the trust fund instead of the HSA, so something's in there shifted.
mm-hmm,
So at one point it was at 48,000, but now we're, 26. So if we increase the one to cover the,
You just multiply it by the number of people on your HSA and take it times 5,000. Or 35, or,
Right.
what do we put in, 35?
on the HSA, 45, isn't it?
Or is it 5?
It's 416.67 for family, 208.34 for single
It's 5,000.
per month.
so it's 5,000.
How many employees?
So you
do
have
we-
$5,000 and then you divide that between your employees for HSA,
No,
correct?
no. They each get the same,
They get the same benefit, the same.
Kate said 417 a month.
And then family was different.
No, we don't pay family, we just pay the individual.
Can you
They
say
add
there's
something.
No, there's two different, if you take single coverage with the county, you get 208.34. If it's employee plus spouse, employee plus children, or employee plus family, it's 416.67. Like for even with the,
You can't do that. I'm gonna tell you that.
well, that's what it
I
was
know
set
that's how
before
it's
I
set up.
came in. And then, the HRA, it's all the same.
Yeah.
And
The HSA should be too.
cash in lieu is $650 for family and $325 for, single.
How can it be?
How do you determine that though?
Yeah,
That's what it was when
I'm not faulting you, I'm
No,
just
no,
telling you. it's not right.
I'm just asking questions, like, it sounds like a mess to me for you. Because how do you determine, just because I don't take the insurance, then I should get family cash in lieu,
Damn right,
because I'm married.
damn right.
But if I take the insurance, shouldn't I get cash in lieu for my husband because we're family and I'm not
Absolutely.
using that?
Totally.
I think this is something we need to
That's
figure
why
out
we
on
can
the
say that
city's
again.
behalf, not that,
right.
What
on
we're
your
doing
behalf,
right now
because
is
we're
discriminating against
Yes.
a single person
Judy, how do you determine?
Agreed.
by, and when
That's
this
like
all.
throwing a
Sure.
dart at a dartboard, like, how do you know? Is this
I'm sure
something,
it's been recorded.
I know you can't ask, but is this something Nick can help us
That's
with?
not his job. I'm just telling you.
I don't know who to even.
If you want to do a benefits audit, he gave me the name and number. And if we can decide to do it or we can decide not to do it.
What's that gonna
But
cost?
here's what I'm gonna tell you. If you're wrong, you're gonna be wrong big. And if somebody catches you.
Well, so do we just keep going and be wrong bigger?
Absolutely
Not, and not
not.
Katie's fault, not Katie's
Absolutely
fault, but
not.
I say we address it and give this girl
Let's do it.
direction and guidelines, because
Perfect.
what a mess for her.
Right.
That's my thought.
Well, there wasn't, when I came in, there wasn't anything that said,
Well, you weren't given anything, you weren't even given passwords,
so
so.
this is just what we have compiled.
I wonder, who could we get to help you with that? Like, who does employee stuff like this?
Yes, as I just told you, it gave me the name of a company he recommends to do that. You want it? I'll let you call.
What do you think, Katie? You think we should
Otherwise, I'll do it. for
square
you.
this away now instead of digging a deeper hole?
It's a lot of work. Audits are a lot of work. But,
I know, but we gotta get it right.
I mean, if we're gonna do it right.
That's where we're at.
I mean, do I
So
think we're 100% right on some things? I don't.
they'll do an initial consultation to see what you want and need and determine that, and that's free.
Okay.
Do you want to set up a Zoom call if we do with all three of us, we have to have a meeting.
Well, you can't be involved.
Why? Doesn't have anything to do with Nick.
Yeah, you're right, and it has nothing to do with insurance per se. True that. I'm willing to work with Katie on this, or if you guys want in on it, maybe it'd be good for all three of us, just to be there with
We'd all be on the same page.
all three of us and Katie. And that way, if one of us can't make a meeting where it's discussed, then the other two already know about it. Thoughts?
It's a meeting.
So you wanna have a regular meeting and do a Zoom call with these folks
Well,
and see what they can do for us?
we
Yeah.
have to, Katie will have to advertise that too.
Yeah.
So. Do you want
I'm just,
this guy to throw us some dates, or do we want to throw him some dates that might work?
Let him throw us.
You let
Okay,
him deal with it.
well, let's let Katie
Mhm.
deal with it, and then, because whatever works in her schedule, then she can tell us what day and time this meeting is, and then advertise, and, that sound fair?
Sure.
That way it don't have to go through us, back to Katie, back to us. Then you're playing the catch the date
So-
game.
If you're having a meeting for me, don't, because I pretty well understand what we need to do. This is no.
I don't know anything about it, so I'd like to talk with this
well,
guy,
You take care of it.
and I want to
That's
get
all.
on the same
You need
page
to
as
be on-
Katie.
I mean,
I can go either way. If you want me in on it, great. If not,
I think
I'm
we should
happy to be here.
So that we're all on the same page with Katie,
Okay.
because I think we need to support her, and
Would you guys
well,
want,
this is not her job.
would you guys want
the
to do it
payroll
like,
is her job.
The benefits are our job. And how the benefits are
She has to
structured.
split that out
I
in the
understand
payroll,
that.
so that makes
I
it her
understand
job,
that.
Don.
But she's not responsible. You're
Exactly.
It's us that's responsible. I get that. So yeah, let's,
That's why I say, let's get a
Let's get-
handle on
let's
this,
get a
so we
handle.
can give this girl a direction.
perfect.
Straighten it out now.
If you have a meeting, I'll come.
Name?
I'll have to get the email open.
would you guys want to do this at a regular meeting? Like have him come speak during a regular
You
meeting?
No,
could.
that'd be good. Is he local?
No.
Oh,
We could Zoom him at a well, no, we can't, because
or maybe right after a meeting? On the same day? That way you guys aren't making special trips?
that'll work. Anytime you could do it that morning, and we'll just put it as a Zoom meeting, because we'll have to do it at that time, and then jump back to the regular meeting. Does that sound right?
It's been a while.
So I'm gonna just plug numbers in here. Obviously, these will change, or may change. Unemployment. We put 600 in there, is that kind of a safety net? Asking for a friend.
You want this email?
I do.
Okay. Then wait till I get there. I mean, you're just cruising right on.
Unemployment. Well, I'm just throwing things out here because I'm getting tired. It's my nap time. Unemployment, that's just kind of a mistake in case
And we haven't used it for a
someone
while,
files
apparently.
unemployment. Is 600 enough, do you think, Katie?
I have no idea. I think I've only used it I used it one time, and that was when we were first here, and it wasn't very much that we took out of there, so I think in 2023, the fall of 20, no, it would have been fall. It would have been when Kathy, from the time she quit to election. So I think I paid it like at the beginning of 2023. Was the last time that we used it.
Okay, postal.
All right, it's all on the way, ma'am.
Oh, you emailed.
I just.
Perfect.
That's.
Postal, we budgeted 10,000 and used 58. Where do you see that one going, Katie?
Well, we're using that too to pay the new postage machine.
How about the pink cards? Is that in there?
No, that's separate.
Okay.
That's,
That's a
somewhere
separate
down.
fund.
Okay.
Do
So
you think, that postage machine, is that in on the 58?
well, I can't remember when we purchased it, so I don't know if we got a full year out of that yet.
Okay,
So I'm thinking we're,
leave it at 10. 10,000. We use 60% of that. You guys thoughts on postal?
Fine, I'd leave it like it is.
Leave it at 10.
If we have not went over the budget, I would leave everything else as is. So if we allowed 10,000, we use 57% of it, at this point, I wouldn't adjust it until we get to our final number. If we wanted to go back and be like, hey, let's scrape a little money out of some of this, then I would go back and adjust that number.
Okay, general liability insurance, we had 11,000 in there and used none.
no, that's NERMA. So we use the 11,000, the total amount.
So it didn't come out of there though. Unless I missed it somewhere. Will NERMA stay the same?
Yep. I think that was in that letter when I paid that claim. It said that the rates were staying the same.
One-time expense, we don't do anything in there. Data processing,
That's MIPS,
leave it
the
the same.
state.
LB 644
Here's
postcards.
your cards, I'd leave them.
There they are. Well, postage is going up.
Yeah,
In fact,
actually today it went up.
today,
Today,
Vehicle repairs, you guys good at leaving those at 1,500?
how much is it?
Vehicle what?
7?
Repairs for that?
I was
County car.
forever standing something at the number on me.
I know there's,
I can't.
I know when Eric used it for his Valentine trip, I think he was thinking it was gonna need a new alternator. It was being silly with him, so,
What's an alternator cost in a Explorer?
Alright. On Zane's?
No, on the car, on the county car, the
On
Explorer.
the edge.
the Edge,
Edge, it's an Edge.
probably $200.
Okay, so 1,500 in vehicle repairs?
I think that's reasonable, I mean, that,
Do we don't have to look at tires or anything this year?
we just put tires on it, that's my understanding.
1,500 in there?
That brings up a quote. This is the wrong meeting to do it.
Pad dues? They probably stay the same, I'm guessing.
We allowed 700, I'd keep it at 7.
Dues, subscription, and training. Who's that for?
That's a catch-all for what gets missed. Like if we, well, cause like Ashley and I, we have to have X amount of hours reports. So, like this past year, her and I went to Kearney to get our hours in, so I didn't have enough in my budget, so I took it out of there for her training.
Oh, gotcha.
It's
It's for like Casey, or not Casey,
Or
but Taylor, Ashley, Holly,
Yep,
4,000?
It's what it was, I'd keep it the same.
Board of prisoners.
This is one Mark cautions us on too every year, that this one is going to increase. We do more activity, this one will increase. This is one that I would probably be willing to go to 50,000 on too. Because it's not gonna get less, it's gonna get more.
it's expensive to board a prisoner.
It really is.
What is it? What was it last year?
48,000?
We're going to 50.
Mhm.
That's not a big increase.
It's not a big increase.
Prisoners' medical, mental treatment, we have 5,000 in there and didn't use any, but again, you don't know. Printing and publishing at 12,000, we used
Not quite a 5%.
7,200, 61% of it. Leave it?
Yep.
I don't think that's gonna go down. District court jury fees, county court jury fees, those are both at 2,500, okay there?
You're gonna have, and we have to keep them, like, that's not something to back out.
Well, you don't know,
You don't know. So you
because
just,
we didn't have
If you
one
use it,
last
that's
year.
not enough, and
if you use it, it's not enough, and if you don't, but at least we you.
What is this 3,000 for attorney fees?
Outside attorney, so if you have to have outside counsel,
Who?
in the case that you had a major, this is what Mark was explaining a year ago, in the case you had a major deal where he had a major court case in the county and you had to get outside counsel for him or otherwise, that's what that's for. And he said that's also probably not enough.
I was gonna say, that ain't gonna get you.
20 minutes.
But that's more than what we haven't used it, and we have historically not used it. And the chances of us using it, while low, there's still a chance. So I think it's one of those things you better have an item on too.
Leave it at 3.
We haven't used it at 3, so I would keep it at 3 and hope that we don't ever need it.
Court-appointed counsel, we've had a number of those and nothing's came out of this one.
I'd keep it the same. So Mark kind of,
So where did their court-appointed counsel come out of?
District,
District
which one
court
are you
fees.
on?
The court-appointed counsel. We budgeted 15,000, nothing's came out, but I know we've had court-appointed counsels, like, can't think of their names right off the top of my head, Peters.
Like Peters and Medline. Those,
Yeah,
those come out of, district court fees. And county court fees, they're two separate.
okay, I was gonna ask about county court, if that's where that was. Okay.
Yeah,
So
so,
those are down here at the two, so why do we have this court-appointed counsel? Do we really need it?
We used it in 23, 24.
But then we didn't use it the last
Nope, we
last
didn't.
year.
I think we use it for the grand jury.
Yes, of course.
Did you say grand jury?
When we had the grand jury case, that's where those fees were taken out of.
I would keep it. I would not modify any of this a great deal. Like it's worked for us.
I'm just curious as to why nothing came out of there. I'm just asking questions, so I can understand. So you leave that at 15?
I would. I mean, there's a reason. We arrived at that number off of consultation from other.
Like Katie said, the grand jury was 65, so chances are we won't have one, great. But if we have two,
You're there.
15 covers both of them.
That's correct.
And I don't think you can fit more than 2 of those in a year, but maybe.
I hope not.
Appraiser fees, that went over a little bit, that was, our budgeting with Casey's. They all,
But we shouldn't have to do that. So that would be an
Right.
item if you wanted.
That's a
That
zero.
would be the one you could
Well,
cut.
For the,
we shouldn't have to, cause he just appraised the
He
whole
just-
damn county for
just did. So we have to
$50,000.
So if you wanted to adjust it or that one, I
I'd take
think
it out.
if you wanted to zip it, you could zip it. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'd zip it. You know.
That should cover us for a while. Surveyor contracted services,
I don't think we've ever done that, have we?
we haven't the last 2 years, but we got 15,000 in there.
That's, we had this discussion last year, that's like when Carl surveys for the state and they pay him.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yep,
then
it's a
they-
contingency
It's,
fund,
yeah,
essentially.
Because you can't pay them if it's not there.
right.
Right, got it.
And didn't we use that this year?
Yeah.
Nothing came out of there.
Was it for Highway 88 or was it for the Air Force stuff?
Nothing came out of that fund, though, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Well, he would have to bill.
I thought there was.
He tells me how he wants This
Did a
stuff
few
will
months
go.
ago. But we pay Carl and then the state reimburses us, right?
Correct. I think that's right.
And we did that this year,
Yes, we did.
but this says we didn't.
Do you know where he's putting that? Or where it came out of?
That's
Okay.
Katie, not Carl.
Yeah.
I can look in the current expenditure, that's the best I could do. Or you go through and find every single one of his bills.
Yeah, because I'd be interested to know what that came out of, but it didn't come out of there.
Yeah.
So 15,000 in there still, I think, right?
Yep.
Audit costs,
Well, we're talking about doing an audit onto this, our benefit audit.
benefits.
So if we've used 81% of it, is that what I'm seeing? 91% of it.
91%.
And we had 20,000 in there. After we took out the 40,000 up above, I would probably bump that one to 26 or 27.
It'll cost.
Yeah, because we're gonna hit audit again, right? Don't they do us every year?
Yeah, but
Every
we're
year we get
contracted
one.
for
We're
3
contracted.
years for 18,000.
Every year.
We
Every
are.
year, well, so we have our county audit every year, and that's 18,000, for 3 years.
But if we're talking about doing an additional audit,
Yeah.
you could be, that's one I would put a little more money. I'd put another 6, 7 grand in it.
We can put that in. I've been told about 1,500 is what they.
Oh, okay.
They're not,
Okay.
because they're just looking at a little slice of stuff.
Okay.
20,000,
22,000.
They're 3. 4. Do it. 4 in the corner.
pick a number, pick a number.
3.
I'm gonna put 23 in,
That's fine.
but we can adjust that if we need to. Prepare the budget. So that was a question I had too. That 7,000, like Candace helped us out a lot on the budget last year and we didn't pay her anything.
Right.
I don't,
Question one, do we need to pay her?
that's what I don't know. I don't know what's protocol.
I mean, you would get an invoice from her if we owed money. But are you saying doing something out of good naturedness?
Yes, because
Or,
I don't think Candace is the type of person who's gonna charge us for every hour she helped us.
I don't know that we could do that.
I don't either, because she's with Norma, or not Norma, NACO.
NACO.
I don't know if that's part of her job there.
I'm sure it is.
No, that's their,
Okay, anyway, 7,000, prepare the budget like, that'd be you, us and Katie, so
47 is like 1550. 1750.
I say not put anything in there unless you guys want something.
what did we do the year, prepare budget? We used 1,037 the year before.
That was, I don't know what that would have been for. But we didn't hire anybody to prepare it. I don't know what that would have been for. You wanna put something in there or leave it blank? And we can change it later.
We put 1,500 in. I just hate to see them at zero in case that you're like, hey, we need to pull this. I just hate to have I'd hate to have them gone.
IT managed services, 25,000, we used 25,836, we used 103% of that, so we probably need to up that just a tad. That's, Bites, right?
Yep.
What's their
It's all
monthly bill?
lines.
2 something?
It's like 22, I think.
2,300.
$27,600. That what you guys want to put it at, 27,600?
That's good.
That'll work.
We're almost there. District court costs, 4,200, I'm guessing leave that.
I would.
County court costs, 7,500, I'm guessing leave that.
Yep.
Juvenile court costs, we don't have anything in there.
I hope we never need it.
True that, but should we leave it 0 or you wanna put something in there? We'll
Leave it.
leave it. mental health board costs, 2,000, good.
Mhm.
Mental
Is that
health
dues?
costs.
Nope, that's not dues.
Well, that was board costs, we might need that. Assessor's schooling, we never put anything in that. Aging office dues, probably the same.
I would keep it at 600, yeah.
Region 1, 38, how come we never paid Region 1?
I can't answer that.
Nothing came out of there.
Okay.
3,800,
Yep.
Whatever, yeah, whatever it was.
sorry. Region 1, Office of Human Development is 1,500 and we used almost 4,000.
I probably,
I wonder if that isn't where Region 1 came out of.
that's what I would guess. That's what I was just getting ready to say.
Are they two separate things? Or are they the same thing? They gotta be two separate things, could look at 23, 24.
Right.
One's Office of Human Development and one's mental health.
Region 1 mental health, so
I would say they both got pulled out of the same pool.
okay,
So,
1,500 there.
Yep.
Adult probation,
Just in
might need
case.
that for Dawn. Special fees, sexual assault,
Now, wait a minute.
2,500. Leave it the same.
Yep.
Never used it, but you never know.
That's it.
$20,000 in a miscellaneous. I don't care for that.
Yeah. Here we go.
Hmm?
What did we spend it on, this question?
Well, you'd have to go back and look at the claims. I remember what the auditor said when he left us that day. Pay attention to what accounts
Yeah.
these funds are coming out of. I don't know what he meant by that, but we need to be on the alert.
Yes. He also said, get rid of all the funds you don't use.
What falls into miscellaneous general, Katie? The miscellaneous account?
Fuel for the car,
Big cost.
Could be.
I think we've used some office supplies in there, maybe. I don't use it too often, I don't try to use it too often, is maybe how I should put it. I think I've used it for the fire extinguishers.
Maybe we need a safety line here as well.
What?
A safety line?
I think I've never really known where to put the fire extinguishers. I think one time I put it in buildings and grounds, and one time I put it under general
That
miscellaneous.
just makes sense, either one. It's like
Yeah.
buildings and grounds.
If we can funnel those safety expenses into an account, everyone will like that.
Because they'll know we're spending money on it.
All right, $20,000 on miscellaneous. What do you guys want to do with that one?
I'd like to know what's in there.
We used
Katie
it, we
just
used
told me.
18,000 in 23, 24. We decided to keep 20. In 24, 25, we decided to keep it at 20. We've used 50% of it.
No, we use 33%. You're probably gonna look at 25, 26 budget.
I am on 25, 26, so it's
I have that we use 6,519, 33%.
on miscellaneous account number 2-9900. I'm showing 10,047.
And miscellaneous, John?
Yep.
That's out the email I just sent you?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make sense, because that's not what's on mine. And I emailed this to you.
You did, and I didn't change it.
Sure would. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of miscellaneous accounts. I'd be willing to drop that one down to about 1,000.
But that leaves us a whole bunch of expenses that's not covered one way or the
Well,
other, or not.
if Katie put the fire extinguishers in safety,
I'm saying we use $10,000, I'm saying to keep it at 10, and we budgeted for 20.
I would like to know what was in that, like what came out of that, because what, you can't have $20,000 of miscellaneous that you don't have an account for.
But you can't pay $20,000 worth of bills if you don't have it, a spot to put it in.
How do we know what we're paying if it's not in there?
You gotta look up the checks and the detail. It's coded, it's 2010-900, is that a 990?
What do you wanna put there?
Well, we thought it was worth 20,000 last year. You said it's worth 1,000 this year. I'm saying we used 10,000 out of it last year. So,
Yeah, but out of that 6,500, part of that was fire extinguishers, how much I don't know.
Oh,
And part of that was fuel.
Fuel, like county road fuel?
see, yours is showing
For
10,000.
edge fuel, for like, if they go to wherever with the
Oh.
county card and they buy gas on the credit card.
How much was gas?
Doesn't say.
It doesn't
We don't
say,
know.
it's not
Can't
spelled
do
out,
that.
like, we don't know, because it's a
So
miscellaneous.
that's like when Chelsea bills out, like well, it's not Westco now, Pines Bluff, and we fill at their shop, that's what that. I think we might have, I wanna say maybe there was some. I really try not to use that account, but I can't, I wanna say there's probably some office supplies on there, just because before we had an office supply, we didn't have an office supply, that was new last year, or fairly
Should that be
newer,
on here?
but
Okay.
What are you gonna do with that one?
I've told you what I want to do with it.
What'd you say? 10?
I said it would use 10, so it would be reasonable to assume that we're gonna still use that account, because that is an active account. That is one that's being used, and there's a reason that we're using it, and it's because there's nothing to code to put into the other way. So to take the account away without having some other place to put it could be very detrimental. I understand exactly what you're saying, Robin, and it's not that I'm disagreeing with you. It's just, you'd have to take that 20,000 and figure out exactly what it was spent on, and then put it back into the system, into that format. So
You can't do that, because we're out of that budget,
I get
so
that,
you can't do that.
but I mean, moving forward, so that you don't leave a hole in your funding. That's what I'm saying. I don't disagree with you. I mean, it'd be nice if we didn't have a
Well,
miscellaneous
if
account.
there's only 1,000 in that account, then you can't use it for anything but fuel.
But how are you
for
gonna
the-
cover the expenses if you have expenses that have to go into
There's
this stuff?
other accounts that they can be office supplies,
But are
fire
But are
extinguishers,
you
and
gonna put
safety.
the 20, are you gonna take that 20 that's been used? This is my point. We've used it. So you're gonna have to take that money and put into those other accounts. So if you're gonna,
I
we've
got you.
used,
I got you.
so we'll have to go back through, like, that's fine if we're gonna code it that way, but then we have to add, that money goes back into those other accounts. Personally, I think the miscellaneous catch-all, although nobody likes it, I think it's a necessary evil.
I think it's a hide me. And I don't like it.
That's a sinking.
All right, tell me what to put there. These numbers aren't locked in
I'm with you.
anyway.
10,
10's fine.
that's what I
If we're cutting anything, that's gonna be the first thing I suggest, just so you guys know.
Okay,
And
you know what? I'll play along with that. I'm good with that. I'll go with it.
And I will go back and see $6,519 miscellaneous, I will tell you what
What it
it was.
is.
I will go back and find it.
And I think that's reasonable.
But
And then if
the auditor told us to pay
if we
attention,
have to-
I'm paying attention.
If we have to move it to someplace else, then we move it, and that's great. But you're still gonna have to have a miscellaneous account, no matter what you do.
Well, it's like Katie said, there is like a catch-all, but you don't need $20,000 in it.
We did the first year. So,
I'm not sure I can
I
go back
also
that far and tell you
definitely
what it was.
understand what you're saying, Robin.
I'm not saying you're not wrong. it's just, you gotta,
You don't want me to be wrong.
you gotta be able to have it, you gotta be able to fund. I mean, if we shut it off here, then we've gotta make sure we have the stream to put it back in.
Office supplies
somewhere
we're
else.
funding. We had office supplies down there, and Katie's gonna put in safety line for these fire alarms in the buildings and grounds, so we should be good there. Stock program purchase, we don't do that anymore, right? We're done with that one? Or are we?
No, I think Mark puts into that. But I don't really know. There's a program that he gives money to,
Okay,
to Kathy.
we put 4,000 in there, should we leave it at that? We didn't use any, but that don't mean anything.
I think
I'm all
it's-
about leaving it as much as we can.
And GIS, that's Casey's program, right?
Mhm.
Why did we only use 1,200 out of 25,000?
Can't answer that.
Yeah,
She's still got the program, right?
yes, she does.
So I'm assuming we need the 25,000 there because it should come out of there. It's not on her assessor sheet, is it? Let me hop back to assessor and look. Make sure we don't have it on both. No,
What did you put in on line 47 for Office of Human Development?
hold on, gotta go back there and look. Which one, Don?
Region 1 Office of Human Development.
I put 1,500 in there.
You need to, it's incredibly likely that that'll actually go to $4,500.
Where were you when I asked that question?
I wasn't quite sure.
It's
where
gonna
you were
triple?
at. Well, it's $3,934.
No, we decided that because, see the one above it, Region 1 Mental Health,
We think that's
we
what happened.
think that came out of the next one down because there should have been almost 3,800 taken out of that one and there was 0 taken out.
Well,
But out of OHG, there was 1,500 is what our dues have typically been.
it's not a dues, it's a cost. It's so
That's
much a month per
that's our
person.
bid, that the,
Office of Human Development charges you based on the county that the individual lives in, and I can't tell you what it is a month, but it's
there's a
a small
percentage.
fee.
We never went
It's an
over,
overhead deal.
never went over, barely over 1,000.
And I'm pretty sure we have 3 people there right now. I don't have any idea who they are. It's
You do
confidential.
better than I do, 4,500?
Yep.
That's fine.
Is that?
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, I'm sure it's
Yeah,
gas,
yeah.
right?
Yes.
There's no way to know.
Yep.
Could be 0.
Those they come and go a little bit, so. But once they're in there, they don't leave the county of residence.
Okay, so on that one, we went from 332,300 last year to 287,400 this year, so there was, it was that appraiser fee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
50,000, big
Got
chunk
it.
right there.
All right, office supplies, 9,000, we only used 30%. Accurate? It's like Katie said, some of them may have come out of miscellaneous.
Year previous, we used $7,200 out of that account. If it worked at 9, I would leave it at 9.
We used 30%.
Last year, the year previous, we used $7,200 out of that account.
I know it varies quite a bit because we haven't bought a whole lot because there was an overage of a lot of things. So, we've been trying to use up all the overages. And so I can't say for sure if that number is super accurate for a year if we didn't have overages.
So maybe stick with 9. I'm not gonna say Leif was right, but if you don't tell him, I'll leave it at that. Okay, Leif?
That's fine.
Duplicating paper, copier, fax. What's duplicating paper? Just curious.
We never figured that out. I use that account for, the new copy machine that we pay the $138 a month for.
Oh, okay.
And then we pay, there's also another fee with that. It's, they keep count of all the copies we make, and if we go over a certain number, we get
That's gotta
charged.
be what that is.
That's
So
probably the
that's-
overage.
Do we need more than 1,700 in there then? Cause I'm sure that was only for a piece of the year.
We pay $138.84 a month, and then, we pay a quarterly fee on top of that, and that one varies, that quarterly fee.
So that's 1,668 just for the copier.
Probably 1,700.
And Casey's copier, is no longer good. It died. We had somebody come in and try and fix it, and they said no parts are available, it'll never run again, it's over with. So we went from 2 copiers to 1. So I'm not
So it's
sure,
all gonna funnel to one expense, right?
right, so I'm not sure if,
We can cover that one in a minute.
Maybe 2,500?
That one, if you look down, there's, on capital outlay, office equipment copier, there's a line item for that.
Oh, gotcha, that was our rent.
So what I would do, I would keep that at the 1,700 because we use 12% of it. And then the office equipment copier, if you're going to increase something to buy Casey a new copier, that's where I would put it. On capital
Why do
outlay.
we need 2 copiers? We have a great big one, new one we just got.
I don't know, do we need
We're
to?
not that.
I don't know.
If one's down, at least.
But it's like generators, if you have one down, you have none.
Yeah.
So we better have a secondary
the
copy.
road department, everybody uses the one in my office. So
Right.
if it goes down, the whole building is,
Everything's
even the
stuck.
road is too.
So we better allow for a second copier.
I think so too.
Well, that comes down later. This
Yeah.
is,
So 1,700, I'd keep it at 17. I would not change a wild amount of that. I do see something on the next items we can change. You'll like this one.
so the 1,700.
Yep.
There's Casey.
Did
Did you have a comment on that?
I didn't hear the whole thing. Taylor just said you guys were talking about my copier.
It was broken.
It's no worky, so we need another copier. We only have one copier. And if that one copier goes down, we're done.
I was supposed to get quotes from Copier Connections on a hard drive because they believe that's the error code it's throwing. I haven't received it on the Mac. I just
To see if you're able to repair it.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a hard drive they can replace in the copier, but they aren't sure if it's. They think it'll fix the problem, but they aren't sure if it's going to go bad again.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want me to get that?
Yes.
Or do you want to look into like the other options?
How much is it?
It was like $100 for the part he estimated, and then like labor. Like I said, I didn't look into it any further. He was gonna send it to me the following week, and I didn't get it. But
So that all should come out of office equipment copier, right? The one we're getting to.
That's if you buy, no, that's if you buy a new copier. That's a capital outlay. So if you buy a new copier, that wouldn't be repair. That would be if you purchased a new one.
The duplicating paper copier fax, that's if you fix. Repair, right? Because it's a supply and material.
I'm looking, I'm sorry, just give me time to get through it. I'm just making sure we don't have another item that.
You could go either way.
Yeah. Okay.
So leave 1,700 at the above one, or do we want to add that on? To fix the copier, are you gonna add
Well,
the
there's-
bottom to fix or replace the copier, or what do you wanna do?
I would add on to buy a new copier, and if we don't.
So the
buy it,
1,700's okay on,
Pricey. We got 2,500 to buy a new copier down on as capital outlay. But you can pull the car off. I don't think we have to replace the car this year.
Are they gonna fix the hail dents?
On the edge is hailed?
No, on the other one.
On the sheriff's car? Hopefully.
so we have 1,700 in duplicating paper, copier, fax?
Yep.
Yes.
nothing on the vehicle, grant purchased equipment.
Are we planning on doing any grants for the,
Fire alarms, generator, but I thought we took care of the
I
generator.
thought we
on
had
the other
those
side,
onto the other
buildings and
sides.
grounds. And then we're gonna create that line for safety.
Yep, so that, you could probably, keep that, well, it's at zero, keep it at zero.
If we're not gonna use it.
You're not using it, but it, at least as if you wanted to in the future, you could, it's still in there.
Okay. So who's our grant writer, speaking of that?
Kathy does a good job, Tim's done a bunch.
So the,
You've done some, haven't you?
I did the ambulance grant,
I've done some.
that was a big one. I haven't recovered from that one quite yet, that's been almost a year and a half ago. I'll get there someday. We should get our new ambulance in January,
That's cool.
I'm excited.
Okay,
All right, now we're on to office equipment copier.
I would put 2,500 in there.
So,
I'd
Yeah.
keep it just what it is.
Katie just said that the rent for that new copier, we got $16.68 a year, $139 a month.
So you can either
So that
increase,
will cushion us a little
it's
bit.
$8,000 for 5 years,
oh, for five,
I'm like, no, darn us.
which is about what they
that's what it is.
Sometimes it's easy.
So the 2,500 will cover that plus 700 extra. Leave it?
Yep.
Transfer to roads, that was kind of a one-time thing, I believe.
Agreed.
So they took 590,600 down to 532,700.
Well,
In my mind, that just gives us a little bit of wiggle room. Because these are just way preliminary numbers. I probably won't even send these to you yet, Katie, because they're so, like, not even. I mean, they are, but you just have to go in and change them again later. Unless you want them.
Nope.
They're just kind of random till we get down to the nuts and bolts. I think that's all we have is well, I lied. Should be almost all we have, it's road sinking. There wasn't anything in the, oh yeah, the bridge buyback program. Oh, that was one thing I was gonna mention. Where's our bridge one? Where when we paid bridge inspections out of? That might have been in, that wasn't in general, was it? Oh, I bet it's in road.
it should be.
Yes,
I bet it's in road.
I don't know.
Just a second. I wanted to remember,
Bridge buyback has its own line.
yeah, so, it's in the road, the miscellaneous bridge inspections where we pay Tommy. We need to remember
He's gonna
to
charge.
add that, was it 3,000 in there
Yep.
for that training? Don't let me forget.
Oh, come on.
Hmm?
Just complain.
Other than that, we have county fair. Do we ever get a guesstimate from them, Katie?
They tell me every year it's gonna be increased and they've never increased it.
That's okay.
And that's by word of mouth, that isn't, I tell them, cause they said they have to come to you guys to ask to increase. And I said, well, I could put you on the agenda, just let me know when you guys wanna be on the agenda, and they've never, I talk to them every year at the county fair.
So is that Egg Society?
That's okay, we won't
That
complain.
would be, Tim Sewick.
We can plan for the worst and hope for the best, right?
So how do they charge us a fee they don't have a mill levy? The county fair board.
What's our county drug fund?
If that's that opioid money.
Oh, I'll bet that is through,
Could be
Is it like $1,000, $1,200 or?
1,900, yeah.
Yeah, that's about what it is. And we'll continue to get that.
ARPA will go away.
and we have a choice with that.
Yeah, we can give it to Region, which is what we should do, or we can spend it. The sheriff can spend it. which he should do, because they can't claw that back, by the way.
So the point is, like, if he was to spend it, and we had this conversation a year ago about using those funds for some things at the school, and he was gonna put something together. If we're not gonna use them, we probably should return the funds back to Region 1 and let them administer the program, because that should have, a good portion of the counties do send the money back because they simply don't want to mess with it. Now, when I had mentioned it in meetings, probably prior to you being on the board, Dawn, Zane says, oh, we'll put a program together, we'll get something, and I don't think we've ever done anything with it. So we need to be, looking to do something with that one way or the other. If he's not gonna administer it, we really should return those funds back to,
That's a good option.
because then at
He
least.
could use this for that program he put on. He was partial sponsor. He could use that.
Could have used that.
That was called PTSD, but it qualifies, I think.
Okay, did you guys input all those numbers on yours? Or
No, I didn't.
do you want me to email you
Yes, ma'am.
this? Do you?
Yes. Yes, please.
We'll see
So
where
here's
we're at.
how I look at it. If you're the one doing the inputting onto the preliminary numbers, and you're, like, we're going through this and discussing it, I don't want to put them in and have a mistake. I want the mistake on one computer.
Oh, thanks, Lynn.
Well, the point being,
That's
I
actually,
get it.
the point being is we have one machine, like what yours is saying, and when you send those back out to Dawn and I, there's no discrepancies. There's no, well, we're off $700 here and there. We're all working off the same sheet.
I will
And
go
that's the
into
only way we
those.
can do
I
it.
think I need to go in and add 25, 26 to the fair and to, like, the roads. There was a couple of them little ones that we don't change typically. Inheritance, I need to update that one.
so, I have a couple other deals I want to visit about a little bit.
Today,
Yeah, they're budget items, but I don't want to
oh, do I
interrupt you.
need to pull that up?
No.
Huh?
No.
No.
These are just where we at, where we want to go. So. Are you done? I don't want to interrupt the process.
No, I'm done.
You're done?
I'm really done.
Me too, let's go.
My brain's tapped.
So it's been suggested that we could put the fire department could ask to go outside our mill levy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's totally okay to do that, doesn't probably change anything. If they want to risk doubling their mill levy, they could do that, but I wouldn't if I was them. And the benefit of that is as we get close, and this may not be the year we want to do it, but as we get close to our max, which is roughly 45 cents, and we're at 44, we don't have to count them inside our max. So if they're 3 or 4 cents, we could keep them outside the mill levy. And they have the taxing authority. We just put them in. It's a choice.
Okay.
You know, I just think, I'm not necessarily suggesting we should do that. I'm just saying we need to think about doing it. What would it look like if we did that? Because we could have a year where zero growth and we can't employ all the people. Or 2 years of zero growth, or negative, but it's always going to be no more than zero. So, it's just an option there.
Just to free up some extra funds if
Yeah.
need be.
Yeah, if we needed to do it, we meet all the criteria to do that. And, you know, and maybe they'll have a year where they actually need to. Let's just say you bought this new ambulance, you couldn't get any grants for it, but your old one was dead and you needed it. That's $350,000. That's a significant. It could put us over our bill if they weren't outside. That's a kind of an example. The other one, and it has more to do with taxing districts, is I don't know if there's a way we can help. I know there's some issues with cemetery districts last year. And is there a way we can help those folks?
What was the issue?
Well, one of them didn't submit their budget. in time on ride forms or something to that effect. And if there's a way we can help them, because I'm confused as heck most of the time in here with budget. And you can imagine these folks, some of them have never seen it. And sometimes the guy that did it dies. And he's been doing it for 20 years, nobody else knows what they're even supposed to do. And they ask questions, but maybe there's something like a packet we can just send to those folks that may need a little extra help.
Those folks, who's those folks?
The cemetery districts, for example. I don't know if there's any
We've
other.
all done well up to that one last
Yeah.
year, and that was a death that
Yeah,
That
had
messed,
an association part of that cemetery that they hit a hiccup, but
yeah.
we had it in plenty of time.
well, so they'll get the same amount of allowable growth too, won't they, is what we, cemeteries and whatnot. So I mean, if we're gonna say 3%, it's 3% for them
They
too.
get whatever they want.
There
They're
is.
separate, oh, that's right, okay, I understand.
They have a mill levy, so, but they're part of our 50-cent cap, so. I feel for them, whatever happened, doesn't matter, don't care, do care of it, but can't fix it.
Our next budget workshop is on July 15th after our commissioner meeting at 10 a.m.
Thank you.
Do you two want me to schedule up officials to meet with us?
Please.
What I'll do is just send out basically a time slot thing and let them choose what time they want to come visit with us about their budgets. Do you want to do that, or do you want to just, that way they don't have to leave their offices for what, if they don't want to. I mean, it's a public meeting, they can be here if they want to, but I thought this way, especially like Eric and Tim.
It should go relatively quick. So as long as the other offices just keeps it between the 3% line that
Well,
we just
we'll get
established.
those on the 14th.
Right,
So
but
we'll have,
as long as they keep it between the lines, okay. That's
or there might be something they want to discuss, like,
right.
I don't know what,
But discuss what?
but
Like,
I wanna,
you
I
know,
wanna keep this communication open. Last year it was just all said and done, this is how it is, and I'll say I did, because I think it was me that put in the numbers. I had mistakes, like with Kathy's, and then we missed Casey's, so I feel like if we open that communication with our officials one-on-one,
okay,
review their budgets together with them.
they have the guidelines as to what we're looking for,
Keep that
and
communication open.
we're there. It should go relatively quick, is what I'm saying, under
Right.
that pretense.
I think so.
Because
Like,
if we're not going through, we're not green to this like we were year one or year two. We're,
So
we're-
like,
Okay.
Kathy's probably
What?
gonna take us. We could do Kathy's treasurer one on the 15th, but her revenue one is gonna take us a little bit. Just us, this board working with the treasurer
it's the opposite.
to be sure those numbers are right, because they have not been. Then Eric might take a while with the road. Maybe 30 minutes is what I'm calling a while, 30 minutes an hour.
Okay.
The rest,
Perfect.
I'm thinking,
Let's move that other meeting up to 10 o'clock.
we do have it at 10. Right, Katie?
Can't remember if it's 10 or 10:30.
Have you advertised for that yet?
Yes.
Okay.
If we hadn't advertised, move it to 10, so we can go right into it.
No, I was gonna say if we haven't advertised, put it immediately following the commissioner's regular meeting.
Mark just said no to that.
I think he said we needed a time,
Time,
10 o'clock or.
Set it at 9 o'clock then.
exactly.
We can be late,
We
but
can
we
be late,
can't
but you
be
can't be
early.
early. So,
10 o'clock's good, Katie.
but she's already advertised for it, so.
Yeah, 10 or 10:30, whatever you advertise for, we'll make work.
Yeah.
I have 10, but
I could have put 10, I don't quite remember.
Okay, well, and hopefully it is. Because that's about the time we'll be ready anyway. We might be able to get a 5-minute break in, but we don't need an hour, 10 minutes like we did right now.
so after that workshop, do we want to meet again? I'm asking this because Katie's got to get the notices out, and my August is ugly.
That's when you're going southerly. Let's get it done before then.
Well, I mean, I can, if you schedule me in a date, I can find a substitute to teach the class that day. I just have to know well ahead of time to find
But-
someone.
When do you think you'll be done, Colin, by then? Do you have any thoughts?
Probably around the 20th. The
So-
15th's gonna be great for me.
So if we went to the 29th, Robin, would that help your conflict and
29th of July?
could we get it
No,
done by then?
I'm in Sutherland that day for sure. Oh, no, I'm not, DJ's there.
Okay.
29th works.
Perfect.
I think that works for me.
Before Sturgis and two.
Well, and also, we may wanna wait just a little while. Because Casey doesn't get her numbers, I don't think until mid-August.
You wanna wait till mid-August?
Isn't it mid-August when she gets those?
No, it's
numbers from the
August
state?
15th.
Yeah. And our budget's due into September?
September 29th.
So I guess I would recommend, I mean, this workshop's good, next Tuesday will be good, we can knock out the officials and all of that. But then I'd almost wait until we can do the revenue in there somewhere with Kathy. She'll have that actually on the 15th, maybe I'll see if the 15th works for her to sit down with us. Hers is gonna take just a little while, maybe an hour, with the revenue numbers.
Okay.
So I would almost say the 15th and then I'm good to sit on it till say
Mid-August?
that commissioner meeting August 19th.
Perfect. Good with that. Let's do it.
What do you guys think?
That's what I think. I like to have it all
Thoughts
on the
on
same
that,
day,
Katie?
so I've got one day
Is that
messed
like
up
waiting
instead
too
of.
long, but you don't really have any,
No, because you gotta wait for the political subdivisions to submit their budgets.
they're doing?
I'm not sure the exact date on those. It's in August, and then you have to pass resolutions in the meeting to, accept them. And then those have to be implemented in the budget program. And I don't know how to do that, Candace has always done that.
I've got
So
some.
there's like
stuff.
three resolutions that we have to
Probably
pass
at
before,
45%.
just to get the levy set with the political subdivisions and all that.
Texted
Before
Carson Harvester, told him not to come today.
Before, well, so you'll get the political subdivisions budgets, and then there's
We got 3 machines and
3 resolutions that are tied to that. You can do them all at the same time, I do believe, but you have to.
Each one?
Barley and oats. They're half done.
I thought each one had their own each little cemetery had their own, didn't they?
Yeah, they each turn in their own, and then I make a resolution that
Oh,
lists, each political subdivision and their dollar amount.
Okay.
But I'm not, I'm pretty sure it's August when those are due.
See what we have to do in July. Scottsbluff County made their budgets due the end, it was before the end of June.
Okay.
I'm like, seriously? Of course, they're like way bigger than we are.
There's gotta be an advantage to being a small community.
It's all July, this is all July. It's all July, it doesn't have August. This is kind of fast. Yeah, this is all July. Am I looking at it wrong?
Yeah.
So we can't really, that's what I'm saying is we can't really start to shave off and lock in numbers until after Casey gets her real numbers.
I think at one of those budget workshops, the one that I went to in Ogallala, I think they gave us a timeline of when everything is due.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have that, but I didn't bring it with me today.
And I think that has like when Casey's deadline is, and the political subdivisions and all that, so I think that breaks it down on that.
Okay.
I know I have it, I just gotta find it on my desk.
I'll look it up and see.
So,
So do you guys wanna go with the commissioner meeting on August 19th?
Yep.
You wanna go again before that?
Let's do the 19th. Fine
that's
with me.
fine, unless you need it, if you decide you need it, we'll just work that out and do
And maybe we could put it on the 5th and the 19th. If we don't need the 5th, we'll just be like, well, we have no business, so adjourn.
it. That wouldn't be a bad.
I just panic with this because we're so down to the deadline
It's
and
the
I'm not
frickin-
gonna wait till 3 days before to find out that
Public notice is a pain in
that's Katie. She
Yeah, it's
rocks
your
it.
fault.
No, not her fault, just the way it falls. Yeah, and then,
Okay.
okay, so do we want Katie to put it on the 5th and the 19th? And the 5th, if we don't have anything, we can say we're gonna wait till the 19th till we get Casey's numbers. How do you guys wanna do
I
it?
would prefer to do the 19th, but if you want to do the 5th as well and advertise for it, I guess you can. I may not be here, but you have to. do it.
Well, I think the 19th will be okay, it still gives us a month. I mean, and in September, we have to do that budget hearing.
Yep.
Joint public hearing, and to be sure we have all that, but we can't really lock in numbers till we get Casey's true numbers. We can go off of last
That's
year,
true.
but that ain't even sometimes close, so that's just doubling the work.
We've overworked this in the past,
Mhm.
so as an effort to try to keep us from overworking it, I think we just need to wait till we get the numbers and go from there.
Okay, so next Tuesday, we can do up the officials.
Yep.
Do that side of it, and then not until August 19th? Okay, we could remind Katie and all.
Next Tuesday, we have another meeting.
Another budget, that's when we'll meet with the officials. Are you okay with that?
No, next,
That's 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, I'm sorry.
next
Not
week
next
is
week.
Sorry,
the
sorry.
Meeting and then
protest.
It's a regular meeting.
The 15th.
Next week is protests,
Oh, yeah, that's at 8:30, isn't it?
yes.
Yep, so we have meetings the next 2 Tuesdays.
The county government does not take into account that some guys have to come behind wheat.
But
I
feel
just think
free.
it's stupid that the new budget, we can't even get true numbers, not Casey's fault, we can't even get true numbers, so
It's
after the new budget starts, you're already a fourth of the way through the new budget before you ever get
spending money
started.
if you don't have it.
Exactly, and you don't know what that
And what's
is.
ugly is if you don't have the money carried over from last year, which is finally important, because you can spend that money. You have to borrow,
Right, so I
it
don't,
doesn't come in.
I don't like that. You guys done?
What time did
Just
you
sitting there looking at me with this
Kids
glazed
ready
look.
to write the time.
Meeting adjourned, 1:56.
Very good. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for lunch, Robin, appreciate that.
Welcome, welcome, sorry Donna couldn't buy you lunch.
Being gluten free is just that. Being gluten free is just that. They do make a great rice cakes.
He was just gonna bring me everything, and now it makes him sick and sick. Tyler. He's 30. And now he's gotta watch, and he'll mess up.
I'll tell you what,
And